friends though. Difference of opinions got them switching like the seasons. Never seen it coming, politics the only reason. Gotta pick a side, red or blue, what you bleeding. They say hands up, so they shoot you while you leaning. Knee inside your neck, you a threat because you breathing. We want some respect, all we get is bloody seasons. When we ask them why they claiming human is the reason.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the With Perspective podcast. My name is Darry, and today I have an amazing guest. I know I always say I have an amazing guest, but I really be trying to get amazing people to come on here. And so this person is truly amazing. I got a chance to meet with her, and I've been getting to know her over the last couple months. She's doing big things here in Chicago. And so I'm excited, really excited to introduce my guest for today. Her name is Vicki Kim. Welcome to the channel.
Thanks for having me.
You got a lot going on, and so I'm gonna let you kind of introduce yourself and what you do and all that good stuff.
Sure. So I'm Vicki, born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago. For the past 15 years, I've been an entrepreneur, specifically in the restaurant industry, starting with our first restaurant in 2010, our second in 2013. We've opened up a couple concepts since then, and now kind of full circle have decided to focus on one entity for now, which is Mott Street restaurant in Wicker Park. In addition to that, I'm also the founder of the WKND Collective, which is a women's thought collective. We're here to equip and empower and create access of information for entrepreneurs and creatives, leaders, level uppers. You could even have a 9-to-5, but have a seed of an idea. And the whole idea is to just help equip you, whether it's getting from 0 to 1, stage 3 to 5, stage 10 to 13. That's what we're here for.
Wow. So, and yeah, you said a lot, and I got a ton of questions that I want to ask you.
Let's go.
But I also want to be respectful of your time. And so before we get into your business ventures, if you were to describe your life's journey so far in one word or sentence, what would it be and why?
I would say evolving. Definitely a non-linear path. And I think that's just realistic. I don't think life is linear. Kind of how people kind of paint the general expectation of how things go. And I feel Emmanuel, God with me throughout all the micro and macro decisions I've made.
Nice. So give us a little bit about your background. Like how'd you grow up? What kind of family dynamic did you have?
So I grew up in the north suburbs of Chicago, a nice little family unit of 4.
Okay.
Both my parents, mom, dad, an older brother that was 2 years older. And felt dynamic-wise, my parents weren't typical Korean parents in the sense that just shoving, like forcing us to get straight A's. They were very open in wanting us to try different activities out, have hobbies, do sports, and just kind of explore. I think in general we felt supported, and it was always kind of the mindset of, the world is your oyster. If you want it, you have to go out there and get it. Dad, engineering background, and my mom was one of those power suit women, kind of ruled her arena in her industry. And so, a really great role model. And I always saw myself working, kind of having that similar corner office vibe, which has not been my life, but yeah.
Okay. Is that something that your parents picked up on from like the way that they raised you? Typically we see like in movies and TV shows and stuff like that, like that Korean parents are like pretty hard, like make sure you go to school, you get straight A's, you got to be, successful. Did they get that from being here in America, or has it kind of like just always been who they are?
Yeah, I think like my mom was always a high achiever in school. Went to one of the best universities in Korea, and so that was always her mindset to just like achieve and surmount and push through. And especially having an immigrant mentality, right? You move to America, you don't know the language, you don't have any community or friends, so then there's a lot that you need to push through and have resilience for. And then yeah, my dad also kind of came from a background of you know, if you want it, kind of go for it. He was always more of the creative dreamer, I would say, as well. But both of my parents, I would say in general, are a bit more Americanized than a typical like immigrant family, and so that came with like I think a mindset to be a little bit more flexible in exploring non-linear paths.
Okay.
Like we didn't have to be a doctor or a lawyer, which maybe some more typical Asian families would focus on.
Okay. What kind of child were you?
I was energetic and outgoing, extroverted. I was on the cheerleading team. I was on the dance team. I did all the those types of sports while my brother was on like the football and soccer team, things like that. So gymnastics. Yeah, I think a vibrant kid with energy and curiosity and gumption for sure.
Nice. What passions did you have as a kid?
Passions. I really enjoyed being outdoors. I love nature. I like exploring. I had a nature club when I was like in 4th grade.
The nature club. How many people were part of that nature club?
It's like 3. It's like me, my best friend, and my best friend's little sister. We'd sell lemonade to help support our nature club endeavors. But yeah, I think just a curious, typical kid. Just love to be out in nature, ride bikes, kind of walk down by the creek, things like that.
Okay. Cool. What college did you go to?
I went to USC, so University of Southern California in LA.
You came back here to Chicago.
Yeah.
After being in LA for all 4 years?
Yeah, I was in LA a total of 7 years.
Okay.
So then I worked out there for a few years after I graduated. But yeah, Chicago came calling back. Specifically, it was just a lot more friendly and less capital intensive when opening up a small business.
Got you. And then were your family, were you guys religious?
It was a mix. My family, we grew up going to Buddhist temple. And so my mom's side of the family is Buddhist. I would say a little bit more by culture and tradition. I mean, with a sprinkling of faith. And then my dad's side, kind of a mix of agnostic, just non-believing to some heritage of like believers up in there.
Nice. Cool. So what made you want to get into the restaurant industry? You love cooking?
I love eating. Yes. I love the theatrics of going out to eat and dine.
Theatrics.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, whether it's the lighting, it's how this atmosphere makes you feel, it's the attention that's given from the servers, it's the weight of the forks, it's how the napkins are folded, or you get up to go to the bathroom and then you come back and your napkin's folded for you. It's like those little details. And straight out of college, I was a consultant and I had to travel, and there was an expense account given, and when I would travel, and so then I could spend $50 on dinner or whatever the case is, and so if it was on the company's expense, I was like, oh, I'll take myself out to a nice dinner.
Yeah.
And so I would pay attention to all those things, and I think also I grew up in a home full of like hosting. My mom would love to have her friends over for dinner, and so I just kind of thought that was normal. Everybody did that. They just loved having friends and family over. And so that heart of like hospitality has always been in me. And yeah, I think food is like a natural leveling place and like a gathering place. I feel like it's a space where people naturally put their guard down. And it's also a very vulnerable space, right? It's like you are cooking food for someone and they're about to receive it and ingest it and trust it. And so, yeah, there's a lot in the act of like gathering around food. And so it was just kind of a natural gravitation. I was consulting for 3 years and it was getting a little burnt out. It wasn't exactly for me. I've always been more entrepreneurial too. And then my brother was also at the same time getting burnt out from the cooking industry. And then we just put our heads together and we thought, well, what if we did our own thing? And I could run the business operations and build the platform, and he could be the culinary creative wild card. And so that's what we did. That's what you do when you're like young and you're like, well, the time to do it is now.
Yeah. How is it working with family?
I think it could be the best thing, and it could also be really hard. I think the trust is always there. My brother is a really great leader. He has a great like vision and a great head on his shoulders. But sometimes we might not, have the same idea of how to get there to the end goal. So there could be some friction there. But I think that's with any partners. But I think the biggest thing is that we have that strong baseline of trust. So,
okay,
yeah,
that's cool. And is he still working with you now? Okay. How did Weekend Collective come about?
Well, I personally craved mentorship in my life. I craved to be poured into, have some nutritious content. And I always, seek out people to grab coffee with and like pick their brain, especially because I've been, owning a business for the past 15 years. So there's no one at the top except for me and my partners. Who else are we going to speak to? So in order to get poured into, we have to go outside of our organization. And so, and I thought to myself, I'm like, well, if I want to be poured into, if I'm craving this nutritious content, maybe there's other people that feel the same. And I've always wanted to do something for Women's Month. And so this idea came to put together a summit. I just wanted to provide access of information to people. I think there's a lot of people that are incredibly talented, but they don't necessarily have the business acumen. And just being in the restaurant industry, I've got to work with a lot of different creatives, whether it's designers or ceramicists, artists, a variety, chefs. And just because your talent is there, and it could be like incredible. But again, if it's not undergirded with proper framework of business, then they might never have the proper platform to be exposed and to grow. So I just really wanted to provide that equipping for entrepreneurs and creatives.
Okay. Is that the summit that you just had?
Yes.
Was that the first one?
That was the first one in March.
And how was it?
It was great. Yeah. I was very, we had a lot of fun putting it together. I reached out to speakers who I personally admired, whether I knew them personally or knew them from afar. And I was floored by, everybody said yes. And, these are some people that are just, at the pinnacle of what they do. And I wondered why they said yes. It's not like we had a huge budget to make this happen. And And I think people that have made it just realize and understand how hard it is and what it takes. And they see the value in giving back to community. So it was awesome to have a great, incredible lineup of speakers. It was just a powerhouse of experts, from TEDx thought leaders to, global creative directors to, doctors and specialists in like health and wellness, and seasoned entrepreneurs to people that were maybe a little newer but have hit success. And it's like, well, just kind of getting an idea of just the whole spectrum, right? So, yeah, and I was very happy to hear that people felt connected, and people wanted more afterwards. So,
Okay. Was this strictly for women, or was there men there as well?
Well, we put on the Women's Summit for Women's Month, so it was mainly women in the audience.
Okay.
We did have some volunteers that were men.
Okay. Yeah, man, get out there and serve and help out.
Yeah.
No, I think that was so dope. I know you had some names there, some people that I've heard of before. I might have met in passing, but it sounds like that was amazing turnout. And are you gonna do it again?
We're gonna do it again because people are expecting us to do it again. I just want to do a thing, and now it's the wheels are on the rails. So we're gonna keep putting out some events, and then. Yeah, but I think our main lift is going to be the annual summit.
Okay. All right. Man, how competitive or how hard is the restaurant industry, especially here in Chicago? It's so diverse, and there's like restaurants everywhere.
Yeah, I just saw a sign yesterday actually, and it said Chicago has 7,500 restaurants in it. 7,500. Yeah, restaurants. That's a lot. I would say the dining landscape is quite competitive. If you kind of need to have that trifecta, which is like good food, good service, and good atmosphere, good ambiance, and ideally you have 2 out of the 3 for sure on lockdown, because if you just fulfill one of those needs, good food, but you have terrible service and make people feel, that's not going to fly.
So my wife is very big on service. We've gotten to restaurants and we've sat down and I'm like ready to eat, and I know the food's going to be good. Yeah. And then she's like, we haven't gotten water. We haven't got greeted. Let's go. And I'm like, wait, what? We're leaving. This is unacceptable. Want to go anywhere else, but she's really big on service, and so it's been some times where I'm like, when we had butted heads, I'm like, woman, we gonna give some grace because I'm not going to another restaurant, but she's like, no, like this is the standard, because she works in a restaurant industry. She knows like the timing, when people are supposed to be at the table, how it's supposed to go,
right?
And I just be like, man, I don't want to go nowhere else, but I understand it. So, but we've had those conversations, but she's really big on service. And,
absolutely.
You had said something else too, ambiance.
Ambiance.
Those things. So I've been hearing a lot about this. Adam, don't laugh. Been hearing a lot about this in my house. My wife she's got my daughters into it now. And so, yeah, it's the whole experience. So.
Yeah, having a good, cushy atmosphere. But if you have a place, I'm thinking of this like one hole-in-the-wall restaurant, and it's a little run down. It's fine, but the food is really good. The service is on par. Are the lights kind of blinking and like flickering here and there? Yeah, sure. But I mean, it's like, the rest is good. So, But I would say, it's a competitive landscape. Ideally, you put forth your personality out there. You don't want to be derivative because that's like dime a dozen. But also, these are people's hard-earned money that they're spending. It could be the one time they go out that month. It could be the one time they're going out for their birthday. It could be like a very like bonus check. Like you don't know what the occasion is. And so for any reason that the person walks through the door, you want to be able to like meet them where they are. And you kind of have like one opportunity. So, yeah.
Yeah. So all restaurants should have that. But how do you stay competitive? Are you looking for like, this is our thing? So tell me a little bit of the story behind Mott Street.
Yeah. So Mott Street was born out of our late night cravings after working service at Ruxpin. So Ruxpin was our first restaurant that we opened in 2010. New American French technique, rooftop garden, seasonal menu. My brother's background was in fine dining, and we wanted to open up a restaurant that served food at an accessible price point in a casual atmosphere so everybody felt welcomed. And that restaurant did really well. Proud of my brother. He got a James Beard Award nomination from there and got like top 10 best new restaurants in America, within our first year. So that was just very unexpected. And so that just, after about like 2 years of working service there, at the end of every night, we'd get hungry and be like, oh, what do you want to eat? What's open late at night? It's like greasy wings or tacos, or it's just like stuff that's like not very great for you. And so we thought, well, what's really savory and satiating, but could leave you feeling like, leave you feeling substantiated yet clean, good. And we're like, Asian food. We're Asian. And, some of the things that we craved was kind of like night market eats. We grew up going to Korea, visiting our family, or even my brother he went to NYU in New York. Where do you go on a college kid-sized budget? You go to Mott Street in the Lower East Side, and you get 5 dumplings for $1. And when I would visit him while he was in college, that's where we'd go. That's where we'd eat, and it reminded us of the hawkers and then the food stands in Asia. And so we wanted to bring that night market vibe to Chicago. And so then we kind of looked around the area, and Mott Street was literally 7 blocks down from our current restaurant. So we kind of swooped into that location and built out our Asian American concept from there.
Nice. So is it, it's probably not the right word, but is it like a mashup type of menu?
Yeah, I would say so. For example, like we'll have a mentaiko kimchi udon, and the flavors are like, somebody says, oh, this reminds me of like my Nona's carbonara, but it's not carbonara. That's Italian, right? But it hit a very like comfort chord with people. And even though we personally didn't grow up eating that specific combination, but we grew up eating udon noodles and mentaiko, which is a salted cod roe, and kimchi. And so those flavors and the amalgamation of it just kind of like made sense, like when it all came together. And so, we may be Korean by heritage. And my other business partner, Nate, he is Chinese Hawaiian, actually.
Chinese Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Wow.
So his ethnic heritage is Chinese, but he grew up in Hawaii. And so that just informs his palate. And But, we're also American kids. We grew up with like slices of American cheese and bologna. And so
bologna.
We just have.
I made bologna. I don't know. When's the last time I ate bologna? Oh, that's crazy. I don't know when's the last time you had bologna. I don't even know if they still, I'm pretty sure they still probably sell it, but.
I mean,
wow.
I remember being like in 4th grade and taking the Oscar Mayer bologna and then taking the slices and microwaving it, and it curled up, and then we'd put some like rice in the middle. I mean, that's what a Korean American kid does, right? Wow. You just kind of experiment. Yeah. The original Korean taco right there. But yeah, so, the Mott Street is informed just kind of by our upbringing. And that's why we say Asian American. If a Chinese person goes in there, a Korean person, a Japanese person, they're not going to be like, oh, this is a Japanese restaurant, this is Chinese. Like it is truly Asian American, because the pantry is quite varied. And my brother's background is in a French cooking technique. Wow. Did he grow up with Eastern cooking techniques with our parents and our Korean grandma cooking for us all the time? Sure. But he also was classically trained culinary wise in the French technique. And also like our travels, whether growing up, whatever the case is, it all informs. And so in the end, food is something that I think has always been adapted and borrowed and layered upon. So, yeah.
That's nice. I can't believe that my wife grew up in Wicker Park, and me and my wife has been together. We've been married going on 13 years. We've been together 21 years since we were 16 years old. Wow. And we haven't been over here to this restaurant. How long has Mott Street been?
It's been open for 12 years.
12 years.
Since 2013.
Driven past there so many times. If she said the address, I was like, that's right there. I'm like, we ain't never been there.
Gotta go.
But we gotta go.
We should do a live episode there.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down for it. Actually, side note, my wife does like places that are like small. She like, you need a social media person. I'll go live and then I'll talk about the experience in the store. So she's been trying to connect with some people like that. But yeah, I think that'll be cool. We do. Adam, you down to do Weird Perspective, My Street Edition? We gotta have a whole. We need.
I know there's a lot of equipment to bring through, but
we could downsize this easy. Easy.
Would it? What?
We'd
probably have to do it when it's closed, though, right? Or I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Man, that's great. So, what does it take for a restaurant to be successful? Well, like, how would you identify? Like, what would your definition of success be?
Well, I think it's important to be responsible for your team. And, you need to build a fortified business. And if your business is not making money, then you won't be able to pay your staff. You won't be able to promote them into higher positions. And so I think it's really important to build as strong of a framework for your business before you go. And it's important to constantly look at the data, to look at the finances. Numbers tell the story, and what is it telling you? If you need to pivot, then, you literally have, each day is a full cycle. Mm-hmm. Like, you can test match any new change that you want within a day. Obviously, if you have more data, like a week or a month's worth of data or more, it's just going to inform you more if you have time for that. But if you're able to, and what I mean by that is every single day that you open, you have a full days of service, and you have customers that come in, that dine, instant feedback loop. At the end of the day, you close up shop, right? So you have feedback from your guests. Even if they don't talk, there's going to be feedback. How did they order? What is their average ticket price? Did they order very minimally? Is it because maybe then you ask questions why and you dig into curiosity? Was it because maybe there wasn't a good enough variety on the menu for them? Is it because they're vegan and we don't have a lot of vegan items? Is it because the server wasn't properly trained to help guide them through the menu? Was it because the price point was off? And it could be that particular guest, or it could be us. But we always try to reflect back and be like, what could it have possibly been? But I think success is having a vibrant, healthy culture internally. Just as important as it is to focus on your external guests, it's important to focus on your internal guests, which is your team, equipping them. I think there's a trifecta, which is training, systems, and resources and tools. So you want to be able to train people and equip them with the tools and resources needed to apply to those systems. And if you don't have that, you're missing the training, but you have all these systems and tools in place, but people don't know that they exist, then they're not going to be used. Or you have training and you have tools, but you don't have a system, then they have nothing to apply it to. Or you have training and systems, but no tools to help hack at the issue, then they're not properly equipped. And so I think there's, and a lot of it is trial by error. But for us, we never opened up a restaurant until we did. And so we just created the culture that we wanted personally to see.
Wow. No, that was really good. How I had a question in my brain just like went blank because I had so many thoughts just now. So sorry.
Don't apologize. That's what editing is for.
I'm trying to keep the flow going. Darn it. That was a really good question I had too, and then we just
So
went.
you're asking, what is my definition of success? Maybe ask that.
That was the original question.
Wait,
then
and what
I
does
had
it take for a restaurant to be successful?
successful, and then I did have So what's the difference between like running like a Mott Street type restaurant and then like franchises? Like what's some of the pros and some cons?
Well, I have not run a franchise before, but I think the pros of having a franchise is that there's a set system in place. It's turnkey. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. In fact, you'll probably be penalized for reinventing the wheel because they have a system and it needs to be stamped out, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of efficiency in place. And maybe some drawbacks is if you have some ideas, you might not have as much leash to be creative. But again, you're purchasing it for a system to run and be optimized like this tight ship because there's been examples of how it can succeed, right? Whereas Mott Street, we are ever evolving, ever growing. Where we were in year 1 is very different from year 3, from year 4, year 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Each year we're growing and in different ways. And what worked for us in year 3 is not going to work for us in year 12. And so just with each year understanding how to shift gears, it's because we're equipped with more knowledge now and more experience, and the environment is changing. The demands are changing. There's COVID, there's not COVID, there's takeout, there's not takeout. And then all of a sudden we expanded our patio and now the demand is more for this or more for that. And so, you have environmental demands that exist, but you also have like our own personal creative aspirations that we have and that we want to experiment with. Yeah. And when they're in alignment, great. It's great for business. And when sometimes it's a little too experimental, it's good for like data collection and maybe to like quell that experimentation phase, but it might not be the most profitable as well. Yeah. So it's just always trying to strike that balance. So, Mott Street for us in a sense is kind of like a playground. It's a sandbox, and we have certain amount of sand and tools and toys and this little shovel and this pickup truck, and it's like, oh, what can we make? What else could we build? But it all has to be within the construct of making sure that the business remains fortified and sustainable.
Are you guys on what is it called? The apps?
We were on apps, like delivery apps, especially during the start of the pandemic. Takeout was never like a huge business for us, and then the pandemic happened. But the apps take a really significant percentage. I understand they need to run their business. Right. But, it came to a point where, okay, we need to hire more chefs, and now we need to hire more front of the house people to bag all the orders. Yeah. And then these delivery people are coming that's not part of our staff. And, right. And sometimes
they miss something that they forgot to grab, and then that's a reflection on you guys.
100%. And so the quality control gets hard, especially when you're paying all those fees. And so we justified it thinking, oh, these fees, it's kind of like marketing. We're paying for marketing, but we had to have so much more staff, so much more everything just to almost like baseline, like keep operations going. So it got to a point where like, is this worth it considering the amount of quality control that is lacking the moment that it's out of our hands? And then, but yet we're the one fielding the complaints, right? And so, there's no perfect system out there. Maybe if we had our own delivery drivers, but yeah. So I think for some businesses that partnership makes sense. Yeah. And we've decided to scale back on third-party apps. And basically, if people want to order takeout, then they'll just go to our website or they'll give us a phone call and they'll order direct.
That's nice. Want to dive into your faith and how your faith fits into all of this. And so, how was your faith when you were younger, and then how has it changed And what does that look like as far as like how you manage and how you run your business? So I know it's kind of a lot. So your faith, how does your faith fit into your business?
Yeah, I think it's always better to work with God than like on your own.
That's true.
To work alongside the Holy Spirit, rather than on your own whims, which can be a little bit. I mean, I think of it kind of like a partnership, right? And I think that who is the ultimate creative, the ultimate creator? It's God, and if we're His children, we reflect Him, and of course, it makes sense that we have these creative desires to create, to cultivate the land, to like build, because it reflects who our Father is. So it makes sense that we have those same genes too, and yeah. And so I would say, yeah, every single entrepreneurial endeavor I've definitely consulted with God. He is our wonderful counselor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I like to take my own counsel for sure, but yeah, I've always found it best when I cultivate the land with God and consulting with Him. I mean, I think I know we're limited beings, right? And so, like, why make it harder on us? I mean, we can easily tap out. And so, yeah, I trust that God has His ways, and maybe it's not exactly what I planned for, but I remember one of my prayers for one of the spaces that we opened up was for me to be released of any expectations that I had, expectations and dreams that I personally had for the dream, and just to be open, kind of have like my palms up and open to what's to come. And with that business, there were many transitions that I didn't foresee or expect or necessarily even want. But I remember that kind of vision that I had while praying over the space to release myself of expectations. Because in the end, like, what are we building for? It's not for my glory. We're here to kind of just salt and reflect and share the light. And if you could even like touch one life and give them like a moment of like respite from the care that you gave them, serving them that like one meal or giving them that one smile or giving them a sense of like community, even just for that moment, then
Yeah. That's why I do what I do here. Like I want everybody has a story, and so God has shown up in all of our lives, whether we believe in Him or not. Like He's kept us all the way up to the point of where we are, and I think it's once we really recognize that. Like I think it's important to share our journeys of where we came from and how did we get to where we are today. And you said something that's so interesting is, man, why make it hard? Why would we make this life hard? I know that we have, the enemy who is trying to take us out, but it's just like, man, when you buy a car and you're trying to figure out like what's going on, it's just like, man, take it to the mechanic and then they'll figure it out. And so God is our mechanic. It's like, God, I'm having these problems. What's going on? And then He'll tell us.
Yeah.
But so many times we just go away from that. We try to figure it out on our own.
yeah.
And we want to do our own thing. And so I think, yeah, man, that's so interesting. What is your faith journey? How did you grow up, and then how did you become a Christian?
Yeah. So I grew up going to Buddhist temple mainly with my mom's side, and but even going to temple, like I knew that wasn't God. I mean, I was very friendly and respectful of the monk, and but I never believed that was like God or my belief. From a very young age, I remember being around like maybe like 5 and praying. And I don't recall somebody telling me about prayer or about God, but I just knew He existed. And I think I was given that gift of faith from a really young age. And then throughout the years as I grew up, I had some family friends that would maybe go to like, Catholic mass and would be like, oh, do you want to come with us and come to church and then go to Sunday school? Or like then in fourth grade, I had a friend who was like going to like a Christian church. Oh, do you want to come to camp with me? And, throughout all these different experiences, I kind of layered on my like learning about God and about Jesus and who he was. And it was just something that I openly received and I knew to be true. I just didn't know much about him when I was younger. And then as I got older, then friends would invite me out to youth group and I'd like learn more. And then I'd start reading on my own. And then friends would drive me to church. And so I was the only believer in my family for a long time. But yeah, it's definitely just like the hand of God that reached out to me from a young age because, and I always remember hearing about people's testimonies and like having these like moments where the about face to God. And I was like, oh, I never had that. I wonder if that's like ever going to happen to me. But then I think I realized being gifted, like the knowledge of him from a very young age was a miracle. And that, like no one in my household talked about God. It was just kind of given to me. And so, and just learning that like that faith is a gifting of its own. Like everybody's gifted faith, but I have this unshakable faith that I just know. And I've realized that as I've gotten older, and whether it was like in college or so on, and friends would be like, I just don't feel him. I don't feel God, or I just don't. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It doesn't matter if you feel or not. Like he is. Like
I feel his hand on my shoulder.
Yeah. Or it's like, like just like you just like know, right? And I'm like, oh, I could see how this is like a gift because I've and that's not to say I haven't had challenges in my life that he's always been, and it would just be going to God was like my automatic go-to and constant, right? They say like everything in life, there's nothing consistent in life except for change, or change is the only consistent thing in life except for God. So
that's good.
Or the only constant thing in life is change.
It's change.
And then I would say except for God. Immovable, right?
That's good. Put that on a shirt. How did your parents take to you, like, exploring, right? Going to these different services and youth camps and things like that. How did they take to that?
Yeah, I think in the beginning they were like open. They're like, okay, you want to go to church camp? Sure. You want to go to Sunday school with your friends? Sure. And I remember one year I was like in 5th grade and my family was going on a trip to Hawaii. And I'm like, I can't go to Hawaii. They're like, why not? I'm like, because it's the week of church camp. They're like, oh, no, we're going to Hawaii. I'm like, you're going to Hawaii. I'm going to go to church camp. And so I stayed back and went to church camp in Wisconsin while my family went to Hawaii. And
church camp would have to wait. I kept the next one. Like, Hawaii, I'm going.
Yeah. But when you're a kid, camp is like cool. And, but also, but then as I started getting more involved, it's not just going on Sundays for church, but also to youth group. Then my mom would be like, oh, you're getting too involved. Like too much church is not good. Like, and she would have friends that were very dogmatic about their faith. Like they would go to like early morning 5, 6 a.m. prayer. And she's like, oh, these friends just go to church and pray all day. And Jesus, all they do is like cry and pray. And I'm like, well, maybe they're just like, really touched. Like, and so she's like, too much is not good, just only once a week. And so, there would be some, maybe the word persecution is too much, but like this idea that like, of trying to like snuff out my like desire a little. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, girl, this is a phase. It'll pass. It's just a phase.
But overall, they're like okay and open. Maybe not really wanting to hear it for themselves, but yeah. And then eventually it's like, oh, every Christmas and Thanksgiving, they're like, should we pray? And then of course they all look at me because nobody else prays. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll pray for the family the one time that everybody wants to like not hate, you know? Or like, it's like, you know, Christmas. Oh, did we pick what church we're gonna go to for Christmas? Or like your Christmas show? It's like, and I mean, I'm cool with that. They want to come along. It's a chance for them to kind of see and hear.
Plant some seeds.
Exactly.
Plant some seeds.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's funny. Who's gonna pray?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So when did you like start taking like Jesus like serious?
Maybe like ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
Yeah, maybe
Wow.
when I was like a freshman, and I think it kind of coincided when my parents were about to get divorced, and the first thing was like my heart went out to both of them, and I realized they're not just my parents, but they're people, and then I started praying for them like individuals, and praying for their next potential spouse, because they weren't like super old or anything like that. And as tumultuous of an experience as that could be for a kid, I feel like I was kind of like cushioned by it a bit and protected. I don't know. I didn't feel like my world was coming apart. Maybe I'm just a very self-involved at that time, being like a teenager and just wanting to like hang out with my friends. But I immediately went to like praying for them as individuals. And like from that moment on, I literally prayed every single night and for my parents and for them to find somebody else. And so that's when I started really just developing that one-on-one relationship with God. Yeah. And, you know, this day and age, growing up and being 14 years old, it's like I also had other friends whose parents were divorced. So it wasn't like this crazy foreign concept.
Yeah.
And I just wanted peace for my parents and for myself. So
Yeah, that's good. That's amazing that you were so self-aware and like in tune. I guess probably was a gift of the Lord, definitely,
Totally.
for somebody
totally
in
like a
ninth
cover
grade.
protection of mind. Absolutely.
Because especially today, for these kids, they don't care about that. Are they getting divorced? Okay. They might internally like be hurt and confused by all the stuff that's going on, but to be intentionally like praying for your parents. You said something key is like seeing them not just as my parents, but as human beings, right? These are
as
image bearers, right? They're made in the image of God, and you wanted what was best for them, and so that's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's definitely of God, not of my
Your
14-year-old aware self. No.
Can I ask? Did they still stay together?
Oh, no. I mean, they did get divorced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they did both remarry 4 years later, like within the same year.
To different people or together?
Oh, no, to different people.
Oh, I was about to say.
No, different people.
I mean, well, your prayers were answered.
Yeah.
So another, prayer works, and I'm pretty sure that strengthened your faith. Like, I was praying for you
sure.
guys to, find somebody, and so that's good. That's good. How does I want to get into women in business. Mm-hmm. We hear a lot about women in business, how hard it is, the challenges. Can you share your experience as a woman being an entrepreneur? How good has it been? How bad has it been? All the things.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the entrepreneurial mindset of mine, but I don't really see obstacles. That doesn't bother me. If it's possible, then I will go out and find a way. And so I don't think of myself as like, oh, because I'm a woman, because I'm this, because I'm that. Just like, I want to do this thing. I'm going to find a way to do it. And I think it just kind of depends on your mindset. That said, are there people that maybe want to flex their power over you and influence certain things that you want to say? Sure. But when you feel that kind of like alarm bell going on inside, like, you don't have to take that. you don't have to, just sit there and like you can say no or renegotiate. And I think it's important to speak up. Say something. If you feel an injustice, then say something. And maybe that's easier for me to say because I'm more, I have like more gumption or more outspoken than others. I think also the older I get, the more experienced I get, the more I know to listen to when I have that instinct that something's not right and to say something. Yeah. But definitely, like, if you see an issue with something, squeaky wheel gets the oil. Like, say something.
All that
And
to say, she ain't no punk, y'all.
what?
So all that to say, you ain't no punk.
Yeah, it's like, that doesn't seem right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, and yeah, I felt this too. Oh, like ask for permission or somebody needs to like give you the stage. Like, no, just do the thing.
Just do the work and then allow things to come organically, and whatever is yours is it's going to be
ask
yours.
for permission or ask for forgiveness. It's like sometimes you got to just do the thing.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to roll out a red carpet for you.
Do
I have
you?
a question. So a lot of the women that I know that are in business tend to say that they have to tap into their like masculine side in order to like get things done, or they feel like they have to be masculine in order to be a business owner or an entrepreneur. Do you feel like you had to do that, or do you feel like you don't? It's not really something you think about. You're just you, and it just happens. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Maybe it's, for me, I'm not like it. I don't have this internal moment. Oh, I have to tap into like a masculine energy to get my point across. I will very much vocalize what I'm sensing in that moment, or I might have to take a step back, but then and then the next day like approach it in a strategic way, in a way that the person can hear me, right? Because communication is everything. But also maybe because I grew up with an older brother or just having siblings and being 2 years apart, there's a lot of fight that you have to have. You gotta stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't want your older sibling to punk you, and sometimes you gotta punk them. And
I'm getting the last of this milk. You're getting the last bag of chips.
Exactly. There's I think having that friction in life gives you that gumption and that fight to speak up. But
endurance.
it's a muscle that you need to exercise, and the more you practice it, the more that it grows. But yeah, for people that feel like smaller, they have to tap into someone who isn't them. That's hard. I would think that'd be very hard.
Yeah.
Because if it's not aligned with who they are, then they would be exhausting to keep on pressing into that. So they kind of have to just practice until they find their own like style and voice that they can communicate in. And if it's not getting through, then maybe it's best to exit that collaboration or partnership and work with someone who they can have better flow of communication with and that respect with.
Yeah. Would you even say that it has anything to do with like masculinity and femininity, or is it just like personality traits? Because I know like extroversion, people who are extroverted tend to be more entrepreneurial. And that's typically like a masculine trait, or found more often in men. Mm-hmm. But I feel like men and women can both be extroverted. Like I don't know that it matters all that much. Just because it's often found in men doesn't mean that it only has to be found in men. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there is a general, at least in our Western world, a societal view that men is like this and masculine energy is like this and women and feminine energy looks like that. I don't think it's so black and white, cut and dry. And when you start categorizing like that, I think it really starts confusing people. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not like that. Then am I this? And then you have these identity there's so many things, and it's like, dude, just chill out and be you. And if you have something to say it. If you're not going to say it, nobody's going to say it for you, because nobody lives in your head. Okay. And it takes practice to like speak up, say something, communicate in a way that works for you. Because for everybody, sometimes speaking up in front of a room works, or maybe only one-on-one, or maybe after they think about it and mull it over for like 2 weeks, or maybe they have to write it down, like whatever the case is. But if you don't exercise that muscle, then it's just never going to get strengthened. And each time, like if you only do it like once every 3 years, then it's going to be very difficult. And so people have to practice using their voice. It's like writing or singing. Like you have to constantly exercise those like vocal cords. So
that's good.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's my upbringing or my tiger mom that I had, where she's like, if you let the world step all over you, they will. And this, the world is your oyster, and just like go. And so her and her immigrant mentality is like, came out charging and very like aggressive, go-getting. And so maybe that gave me the gusto to like push forward in things. But also like, I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. And so I don't really have a boss. I am the boss. And I mean, in the sense, like my partners are my bosses. And yeah, sometimes they'll boss me around. Sometimes I'll boss them around. But because of that, when you are kind of at the top of your own food chain, there is nobody to protect your organization but you. And so if you don't speak up, not only are you going to be feeling the pain, but your entire organization is going to be feeling pain, which, we have like 50 employees. And so it's like your family. It's like your children. You want to be able to protect them and make sure that they're fully equipped to do everything. So the moment that somebody comes and threatens and you don't do anything about it, you're exposing your house. And I can't have that. Like the level of responsibility that is felt pushes me to say something. And if you don't feel responsibility for yourself, for your respect, then you might not be pushed to that level of speaking up. Does that make sense? But because I am responsible for many other people, it's beyond me. Like I don't even think of like, oh, woe is me. No, like you are not gonna mess with this house, because there are a lot of mouths to feed. Yeah.
My first lesson learning that was playing basketball as a kid. And it's something that I'm teaching my son now. He had his first experience. He's finished his basketball season, first time ever playing on a organized basketball team.
That's great.
And he's the point guard. And you are the coach on the floor.
Yeah.
You're responsible for the play, getting everybody the ball, whoever it got to go to, whatever it is. And then it was this kid trying to push him around a little bit. And I was like, I just sat back. I watched it for a little bit, see what my son was gonna do, because I'm coaching. So I don't want to be I don't want to be dad and coach. Coaches had his own. So I'm just watching him. I'm like, he ain't gonna say nothing back. And so finally I was like, hey, if you don't say anything back and take up for yourself, they're gonna punk you the rest of the game. And it's gonna mess with you mentally. I said, you're in control of the ball. I can't be on the court with you. You gotta do something. And so he started to he got a little bit more like aggressive and let them know like, you're not gonna push me around. And then he started to like get more confidence, in that and being able to articulate things. He started to speak up more now and conduct the business of basketball on the floor. And it was just like a proud moment for me to watch and see like my son is like maturing right before my eyes. And I mean, it's a kid's game. He's 10 years old, but to just see him just like the switch went on for him, and being able to play. It was almost the same thing for me. You being responsible for, number one, having this ball in my hand. This is the value. This is what we're trying to get into that goal. And then also my teammates. I got to know what everybody is doing, where they're supposed to be, because I'm the general on the floor.
Correct.
I'm running it. And so to see him kind of, for that to click for him, it's important. And I know I used a game analogy, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I visualize things in Sports Illustrations.
Oh,
'cause
absolutely.
I spend so much time doing it.
No, but how gratifying and proud you must feel
Yeah.
to see that like growth. He had to like push through and have that moment, right? And now it's almost like his eyes have been opened.
And he had to
even
be
further.
vulnerable.
Correct.
Right? Because he had to like go through me speaking to him in front of everybody else and be like, hey, you can't allow that to happen. You know, this is what you do, you know, and then he figured it out. And then, you know, he went on to we had a decent season. But just watching that growth was great.
Yeah.
And I think for all of us, just in life, we have to get to that point. Whether you're the boss or a leader of a team, whatever it is. I know for me, it took me a long time. I didn't work in corporate places. So when I started working for the nonprofit that I worked for, sitting in meetings and then having to give quick responses, I was like, they're like, Darry, you got anything? And I was like, man, I'm still on the first thing we talked about 15 minutes ago.
Right.
I haven't even caught up to you guys. So I'm still processing.
Yeah.
And so I had to like process faster so I could give input. Because I'm like, yeah, that's this and this. And then I'm like, I'm like running things in my head and they don't moved on to like 5 other things. And I'm still on the first one. But it wasn't me not like speaking up because I didn't want to. I was scared to. It was just like
Your
I'm
thought
processing.
process. Yeah.
And so I had to even tell them like, I'm still thinking. I'm gonna get back to you before the day is over or whatever. But yeah,
And
I
even
had to
that,
learn how to process
that's like,
sooner.
that's being really self-aware. It's like, no, I am digesting this right now, and I want to come to you with a value add answer. And somebody telling them an answer right then and there is not more valuable than your answer. It's just a different process.
Yep. And so yeah, I had to learn that. I'm like, oh, this moves fast. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be here long because y'all need answers right away. I can't give them to you. But that's good. That's good. Man, being a boss, like your whole career for the most part.
I mean, I've worked since I was like 14 years old, and then I was an entrepreneur starting at 27. So I have been in corporate settings and have had bosses and teamwork environments. But yeah, it's definitely a different mindset. I'm not a parent, but I almost imagine like that is the closest to feeling that level of responsibility when you have employees and a business. Yeah. And you have the public that you have to be responsible for, literally.
Yeah.
Like it's their health and their well-being. It's their money. People are going to be, when it comes to food, people can get very, very pissed off. It's
Man, I think my next question was going to be, you know, like, what does leadership look like for you as a Christian, right? Entrepreneur. I think you just answered it. What you said, being like caring for people, and like, man, I'm responsible for this person's livelihood. I'm responsible for this company succeeding. Maybe make sure I steward this well. I don't know if you want to further deep dive into that, but is there like a pressure there? Is there like things like I have to take these to God or else I'm gonna be all over the place? Like what does that look like?
yeah, I mean, I think the word steward comes to mind. As much as, you know, we might like to think, oh, I've come up with this idea or this business. I do think the things that we create in this world, especially if you're a believer, are God-breathed. And so there's a partnership that you have with God to build and cultivate into things. There's a responsibility that you feel, but at the same time, it's not like you should just carry everything on your own shoulders. That's a lack of maybe a control issue or lack of trust, right? You need to kind of delegate, but you also have to discipline, right? You see something, you got to nip it in the bud. You don't want that to take root and become cancer and spread in your organization. And so vigilance, I think, is important, but also, you know, partnering with God and asking him, like, please bring to mind, are there areas that I need to really like dive into and reflect and reconsider or just assess? You know, help give me diagnostics on the business. And I think being a leader and being Christian, and people, when they know you're a believer, you're likely going to be scrutinized under a tighter lens, right? And maybe judged in a certain way. But for me, it's more of just like loving on people. I mean, they walk through the doors. I'm responsible for them. I want to be able to equip them and to grow them and to develop them. I can only grow and develop somebody as much as they're willing to be grown and developed. So that is kind of like a limit. But while they are in the house, at least you can make sure that they're cared for in a safe, healthily functioning business environment where expectations are very clear.
Yeah.
Which is a kind thing for them, but also like good thing for your business. But yeah, I think it's just natural as a human being to want to grow. And I try to look for those growth opportunities for our staff and also our business. So it's kind of like in our natural DNA.
That's good. That's good.
Darry wants me to ask a question, but I don't know if it really applies because you said that you were pretty much given the gift of faith pretty early on, and I was going to ask you how you, being Buddhist growing up, kind of influences your faith as a Christian, because I know there's a lot of like similarities and like not similarities, but like parallelisms, I guess. Like especially when it comes to the idea of like meditation and kind of like tapping into this like universal consciousness or whatever, and like getting close to that. We have that direct connection through the Holy Spirit, which is, I think, what they're trying to like tap into. So I was just kind of wondering, but I don't know if that really applies to you, and it's okay if it doesn't. But
yeah, well, I think it was quite an early age that I would go with my family to temple, right? And for me, I'm just kind of seeing the theatrics of it. It's like, oh, you walk in, you burn the incense, you bow down, you give, like do some like food offering or some kind of ceremonial thing. You do some chants, here are some beads, bow down 3 times, say hello to the monk. And so I wasn't super informed with all that was actually going on and the meaning of everything. It was more just, again, like to me, like a cultural experience at that nascent stage for me. But I think having that exposure and that understanding just from my family and seeing my family go to temple frequently and us having these Buddhist traditions at home, it has just made me more like open and understanding of what's possibly out there, but also like less afraid of other religions or practices of faith. And I think has equipped me more so when people ask how I've come upon faith or why this or what about that, it's like, well, actually I grew up Buddhist, so actually I can speak into this. And I wasn't I wasn't taught these things from a very young age about like Christianity, so I come from a very different construct and upbringing. And so when people want to like poke holes in my ship, I'm like, I have a lot of things because I have a lot of experience in a religion that is outside of the faith of Christianity. So, and I think that's actually a strength, you know?
Yeah.
And I was basically at the deathbed of our monk and had a great respectful relationship with them throughout. We might not have agreed with like the end like faith, but do I respect them and love them as a person? Yes. Am I going to like banish my family that like don't have the same belief? No, I love them just the same, and that's all I've known. But I do think my Buddhist background is a strength that not a lot of people also share, and for me, I know that it was like, in a sense, a choice. It wasn't because I feel that my faith was like, given to me, like the knowledge of, but it was like I could have I was exposed to the point that I could have chosen like a different faith growing up.
Right.
Whereas, you know, I may have friends that are like, oh, I grew up in this, I don't know anything else. And then they have like these exploratory phases or seasons. And I literally had to go through that from a young age, especially when I have family being like, oh, you're going to church too much, or you're doing like, I already had the persecution or whatever, you know, in my life from a young age. And so I'm like, no, I've this is what I've chosen. This is what I've like kind of like fought for. Right. And this is what I believe to be true. In terms of your other question, like meditation, things like that. I believe in general, meditation is kind of like, and I could be wrong, right?
Like
sometimes they focus on different things, or they're emptying out their mind to like be at a state where you don't like, you could just be emptied of. But when we're in prayer, we are being filled. We are being like connected. We are being in communion with God. And that is like plugged into the source, and like the spring of life is just, you know, like, yeah, being overflowed in you. And so like my husband meditates, and he loves that. Right. And whether you're not a believer, you're a believer, lots of people meditate, but I think it's kind of like a different mindset.
Yeah.
Or for sure it is. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Because like, how do we get Zen? How do we get peace? Like if Christ is the Prince of Peace, then isn't that where you should go to, right?
Yeah. And we have access to that, and all we got to do is ask.
Right. It's shalom, the perfect peace, versus like, oh, I feel peace from XYZ. That could be like momentary. It's like happy versus joy, right? It's like, where is that sustaining?
And it's like you have to work for it. With Buddhism, you have to work for that peace by like shedding your desires, your ego, all this other stuff. Whereas us, we just appear in the throne room through worship, prayer, and he's like, here it is.
Right.
Freely. And
it's this, but we need to receive, right? Yeah. And I'm learning that rest is like, rest and that's like an active choice to receive, to step into, and when we're not in rest, it's probably due to maybe a control issue.
Yep. And then we're stressing ourselves out more because we won't sit our butts down.
Correct. Yeah.
That's good. I was gonna ask, what's one practice that keeps you like aligned creatively and spiritually?
Well, I think having a morning routine is really has been just really like life giving for me, helping center my day. And the first thing before I can even like, you know, think, I just like go out into my living room and sit and pray. I don't even want to think about how tired I am. I don't want to think about, oh, the sun's not up yet or whatever. It's just like, nope, you just do it. This is something that you do. You don't make a decision about it. You don't choose otherwise, but to sit before God and pray. And a lot of times people think it's just like praying is like this. It can be a monologue, but ideally, I take time to have a dialogue and ask the Holy Spirit, is there something that you want me to hear or know today, you know, and just taking that moment of silence. But anytime I can, in the mornings, sitting and praying and especially journaling has been a great practice for me. And in terms of creativity, again, I think that routine and that communion with God does fuel me and fuel creativity, communing with him. I think there's a lot of ideas that come through like communing with God. That's actually kind of how the WKND Collective all kind of came to be. But also, I think doing it really helps creativity, which I'm sure you guys have felt too. You can have all these ideas and thoughts, but putting it into practice and actually doing the thing. It could take a lot of work. It could be maybe just takes an afternoon to like put together. But that always gives you more data points, and then you can reiterate and iterate and iterate. I don't think anything's ever like fully done. And how do you know if you don't try?
Yeah.
And so I think that helps fuel creativity, to putting the work out there. Is it vulnerable to put it out there? Yes, absolutely. It's totally vulnerable. But honestly, like, people really don't care so much about you. The main thing that people care about is themselves. So you might as well do your own thing. Things are so ephemeral these days. They're up one day and gone the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
So just keep reiterating, keep practicing, keep doing. And the things that make you weird or different or unique is usually the most interesting thing about you. Everybody can tell when something is like derivative or blasé or bland. It's because it tried to be something else.
Yeah.
Just be you.
This channel almost didn't get started because I was struggling with that in the beginning. It was like, I wanted more. So this is during the pandemic. I'm like, man, we need more Christian content creators. And then I was always asking people all these different questions and trying to like have these conversations. And then people were like, man, why don't you do it?
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? Like, nah, not me. I'm not like stage fright or anything, but I'm like, I've never had confidence in my ability to like speak publicly. And so I was like, I'm not doing that. And then God deals with me in 3s and 4s. And so I had like 4 people tell me that I should do it. And I was like, God, are you trying to tell me something? And then he was like, yes, go and do it. And I was like, do I want to? And so I started thinking about all these ideas and like, how would I do it? And started looking at YouTube channels. And I was like, man, I can't do any of that stuff that they're doing on YouTube. And then I was watching this one Christian contest called Think Media. And I was just like, man, I don't know where to start. And then at that point, he had been on YouTube like 10 years. And he was just like, he said something that was really quick, but it resonated with me so much. He was like, just press record. And I was like,
Wow.
just press record.
Just
and then
do the thing.
Just do the thing. And then he showed like where he started in his college dorm where there's no background and they got concrete walls. And he was like, this is the first video I put out. And now he's in like a studio and has all this fancy stuff. And I was just like, oh, okay, so I guess that was the Lord speaking to me where to start. So
That's awesome.
I reached out to some people that were better than me, Adam, and I was just like, man, we put this thing together. Help me. So
great.
Adam came and we're here now. What, I don't know. How are we at? Almost 5 years?
Wow.
Almost 5 years in. And so it's been a process. It's been a journey. We started doing stuff. We tried to do in person. That was like crazy. And then I went to Zoom, and Zoom was cool because everybody was remote and it was nice. We were able to make it look nice and appealing and things like that. And then now back to in person is been great. It's just scheduling now. So, but it's been a journey. And so I think we found like our lane. And so we're just like, all right, full speed ahead in this lane that God has us in, not trying to be anybody else.
Right.
But this is where God has me. So people always ask all the time, like, I had one person tell me, man, that person has said something about the gospel or whatever, or about Jesus. Like, this is not my place to correct anybody's theology. I want to hear people's stories and how they got to where they are. Like, that's a discipleship issue between them and their pastor or whoever's life they're walking with. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not my job on this channel to be like, by the way, you said this verse. Let me show you where you're wrong and try to correct them. It's just like, no, I'm not here to do that. I want to have conversations. And so I even invite like non-believers to come on here because I want to hear people's stories. And so whether it's faith in business and different things, women being empowered, leadership stuff, whatever it is, I want to hear the story if I find it interesting enough. And so that's what I do. And then there'll be other videos, shorter videos for Bible studies and things like that are coming. But yeah, this is the lane as far as for the podcast goes. So
Well, I think it's such a gift for you guys to be able to share people's stories. I think it'll encourage many and resonate with many. And I think part of it is, sometimes people don't know what questions to ask. or who to ask them to. So you're doing that lift for a lot of people by putting out this podcast. And your name is fun too, Weird Perspective. So it's like people don't have to feel like weird about it because you already called it out.
Yep, already called it out. So,
How
yeah.
did we come up with that name again?
So people, they, as a believer, especially like with my family, I always felt they always looked at me as like weird. Or like Christianity is weird. Here's the weird Christian dude coming around. Even though I've never been.
So you didn't grow up as a believer?
I did. I grew up. My mom was a Christian, still is a Christian. So was at church all the time, 3-4 times a week. I'm at church. It's
The
crazy.
ones that my mom was like scared of. She was like, the people that go to church
Yeah,
all the
my mom was an usher. She was a prayer warrior, so she was part of the prayer team, the
Wow.
usher team. She was in the choir. Then we used to be there for like Wednesday Bible study, and then every once in a while they would have like some Friday night revival service.
Right.
And then on Sundays, 2 services. So I got to be there for both because my mom is in the choir and I'm an usher. Oh man, I was at church all the time.
Wow.
I used to, as a kid, I hated it. I used to sleep, and then I used to get the church pinch on the side. Wake up, boy, don't be sleeping at church. So I grew up in church, and then about 15, 16 years old is when my mom kind of let me be free. And which I always give her a hard time about, like, you shouldn't have done that. It's the worst time to let me be free because now all the things that I was like, I could see, but I could never touch. Now I can go and touch it. And yeah, and so that was just not good. And so then the Lord called me. We were living in Ohio. And then this is actually where Adam comes into this. I came here for a job interview because in Ohio for 3 months I was laid off. I couldn't find a job, not even like at a gas station, McDonald's, nothing.
Wow.
You would have thought like I had like a violent felony background or something. I was like, why can't I find a job? This never happens to me. What is going on here? So for 3 months, and then there's no savings, there's no money. So I'm like, what do we do? So I applied to this job here in Chicago, and I told my wife, I was like, hey, we're moving back to Chicago because ain't nothing happening for us here. And so came here that weekend, went to a play that was at the church where we met called Eternity. And that literally scared the hell out of me because it was about people who was living just like these free lifestyle, right? Some of it was like crazy sin, and some of it was just like casual things.
Sure.
And, people were living but not knowing who Jesus was, and then they were dying and they were going to hell. And I was just like, all the things that I knew about God was like all came back to me like full force. And God was like, man, that's your life if you don't give it to me. And everything that most of those scenes I had done or had been doing. And I was just like, oh, snap. So I gave my life to Jesus that day. That was July or June of 2011. I can't remember the month. I always get the months mixed up.
You guys have known each other that long?
Yep.
Wow.
And so we didn't meet at the play, but like after that, when I moved back to Chicago, I started attending the church. And then we met like officially when I started helping with the youth. And then I was really good friends with his older brother, and then that's how we met. And so yeah. And Adam's that's the bro right there. And so, and then to answer your question, when I got saved, I had lost a lot of friendships. And then I used to always, you see the Christian movies, the Christians are always the weird dude. I'm like, bro, we're not like that. Like, stop. These movies need to get better
I know,
writers. Like, why y'all gotta?
so bad.
Why the Christian dude gotta be like a dude with like a weird haircut, or he's trying to be cool and all that stuff? And so I was like, Christians are not
So
weird. And so
awkward,
weird
yeah.
perspective. That's where it comes from. It's because it's a Christian perspective, which is weird to the world.
This is true.
So that's where that's where it comes from.
I like that.
So just a play on words.
I like that.
Yeah. So. With what?
Because I remember we were talking about it at one point.
I think I brought it up to you. I think we just agreed together. Yep. So you got some credit in there. Don't worry.
Even if I got no credit.
Nah.
So it's you two. This is the team of two.
It's a team of two.
Okay.
Team of two. And then I think the last year, we was like, Adam got to get a mic because he wasn't on the mic. It was me and my co-host, Ray. You met Ray before. You've seen him at church.
Maybe. Not sure.
You know who Marianne is?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll show you them later. But anyway, so Ray, I had my best friend, childhood best friend, 20-some years. He was the first co-host.
Okay.
We did everything over Zoom, and then we switched. We were still on Zoom, and then Ray came and he started working for the nonprofit. And I don't know why I was so drawn to him, because I was praying like, man, my friend, he had to step away because he's dealing with some life things. And I'm like, man, I'm like, I can't talk to myself. And we were still on Zoom, so Adam wasn't running all the sound stuff because I was just doing everything on the computer. And I'm like, man, who am I gonna do this podcast with? And then, Mr. Raymond Woods came walking in, and then I was just like, I interviewed him, and then from there it was like confirmation. And then I told him, I said, I don't know, I'm not gonna officially ask you, but pray on this. But I think you're supposed to be. How would you like to do a podcast? Just let me know. Pray on it. And then he came back to me like 2 weeks later, and was like, I think we could do it. And I was like, all right. So we did it. And the rest is history. And so, yep. That's where we are now. And so, but me and Ray were like, Adam would say things behind the scenes that nobody could hear. And it would throw us off because we would be laughing. And so we're like, we got to get Adam a mic. He needs to be on mic and on camera.
Yes.
And so, yeah, this is where we are now.
That's great. Well, I give it to you guys because you guys are doing the thing, and that's that people don't realize the level of effort and energy and like intentionality that it takes. And some people, they're like, oh yeah, just put up a post, just put up a story. It's like, that's the problem, that they use that language, just, because it's not just. It actually takes a lot of it could take a lot of energy. For most people it does. Very rarely can somebody put up something very quickly because it's creative content, and it needs to be value add, and it needs to be informational, and like all these things, and there's a lot of thought behind it. Like even when I saw the questions that you asked in the thing, I was like, oh, this person has thoughtful questions. This person is showing up prepared. And I could tell it just told me a lot about you and how you guys run this podcast. Like, you guys are serious. You're not just like, oh, let's just put up a table and mics and see what happens. There's a saying, proper planning prevents poor performance. And I'm a firm believer in that. There's also like that acronym LUCK, right? Labor under correct knowledge. It's not, it just doesn't happen. You were in position to like catch the ball because you were all the preparation that you took to be there. So
yeah, it definitely takes work, thinking of ideas and does this work, does that work? But man, it's been good, and I strongly believe in doing things like in excellence and unto the Lord. So I want to do whatever I do, I'm doing it as if like Jesus is in the room, like judging it. You know what I'm saying? I know somebody, that's crazy. And I was just like, well, we're called to do things in excellence, right? And so, I mean, Jesus is with you. Like the Holy Spirit is inside of you if you're a Christian. And so I believe like I want to represent Christ when I do things. And so doing things in the best way that I can is what I try to do.
Yeah. That's good. Because I was reading a book earlier today. I don't know if you've read Garden City by John Mark Comer. It talks about art, rest, something, and the art of being human. But it's like a faith-based book on rest and Sabbath rest. It talks about like operating from a place of rest versus operating towards rest. Operating from a place of intimacy versus working towards intimacy. And he was just talking about like, oh, even if this book, even if it did hit bestseller list or whatever, he's like, it's going to be gone or like washed over in, 100, 200 years. And in 200 years, it'll literally turn to dust. So like, what are we doing with our time and what we're creating these days? And that's why I mean it when I say like, even if I'm able to help make somebody feel like seen and like touched and cared for in just a moment of hospitality, of service at the restaurant. Maybe that was the one thing that they needed to feel like I don't know, just a little bit loved on for them to get to like the next, right, that day or whatever. Because, yeah, like a blink of an eye, this will.
Yeah. The Bible says that we're just our lives are like a vapor. Like we're here and then it's gone, you know? And so,
Pretty wild to think about. Pretty wild to think about. Yeah.
Yep. So what's next for the Weekend Collective?
What's next? Well, been very happy about the response, and people want to keep connecting. I think they want more. People want more nutritious content, and they want to do things in a collective community setting. And so, yeah, right after the summit, after receiving all that feedback, we're like, okay, well, let's put together something. We put together studio hours. So it was co-working in a sense, but we had a few activations, like an area for people to idea bounce with one another, because I think soundboarding is really important, especially for people that are entrepreneurs. They tend to work in a vacuum and in a very siloed like work environment. And so to be able to soundboard with people, we also had an on-site expert, which was a fractional COO. And people could have sign-up sessions with her and to pick her brain for about 20 minutes. And if they wanted to take it offline from there, they could. We also had an on-site professional photographer who did micro headshots and micro photo shoots. And of course, we had a snack station. But, you know, just by having those little activations, I think those can help push somebody's business forward, whether it's having an on-site expert to bounce ideas off of, or, you know, pick an experienced person's brain. How would they shift into the next gear for this stage of business, or to have, you know, a professional photo from a, you know, world-class commercial photographer. And we did it in a way that it was, you know, affordable. The photographer charged a very like base rate for the Weekend Collective folks. And then I think, yeah, we have some ideas for more nutritious moments, like having workshops, weekend workshops, maybe where we deep dive into other areas of self-development, whether it's Enneagram, which is kind of understanding and being a little bit more aware of like who you are and how you respond to environment and others and relationships, and how other people also respond. And that way you can better your communication with people. And I think communication is kind of what makes the world go around. I think that's the number one crux of all issues is a lack of communication or miscommunication. And so if we can better understand how we operate in the world, great. We're not experts on this, but we can pull in people that are experts. And so I think up until we get to the next summit, which we'll host every March in Women's Month, we'll have these mini sessions, whether it's workshops or deep dives on these specialty areas. Maybe we need to talk about how to deep dive further on frameworking the mind or the wellness mindset for an entrepreneur. What does that look like? What does balance look like? Does balance even exist when you're in a startup? I mean, I've been part of many business endeavors, and right before launch, I don't think I've ever had a balanced, like a non-lopsided, season, because you're just focused so hard on pushing something out there. But are there other areas of your life that you can fortify before you get to that next launch to maybe make the process have less friction, right? Yeah.
I have to go back and watch this clip, but there's a pastor. His name is Philip Anthony Mitchell. He was on Lecrae's podcast, and he said the whole work-life balance, I think there can never be balance, like in the way that we would want it, to where I spend the same amount of time with my family or more than I do with work, but having and I got to get the exact quote of what he said, but he pretty much talked about like having like a routine and healthy routine where your family understands what you're doing. Because especially like him being a pastor, and he has like a really big church, he gets pulled in to these things. So he had to learn how to delegate. But there's going to be seasons of time where, man, he gets a phone call in the middle of the night and he has to go deal with something. And it's just like, how does like him having a healthy like routine and his family understanding the type of work that he does and what it requires. Right. Because for me, like right now driving trucks, I can't, I'm definitely away more than I am home, right? Yeah. Even though I'm home for the most part every day, sometimes when I get home, man, I get like 3 hours with my family and I gotta go to bed because I gotta make sure I get enough sleep so that I can drive this truck and not kill anybody. You know what I'm saying? Fall asleep behind the wheel, something crazy. And so, but my family understands it. Like we sat down, we talked. I told them what we were doing and why we're doing it. This is not a long-term thing. Maybe with your help, this YouTube thing will take off. And then I can do this, right? And then and make enough money to take care of our family, and I can do the other things that I want to do. So it's just a season of like, we got to work hard. I got to grind. We got to do what we got to do, and then we'll see where we at by the end of summer. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll reconvene from there. And so just understanding where you are in life and having those real tough conversations. You know, life is not always going to be like, everything is perfectly aligned and the stars and the moon and I can see it. So like, especially with like business. Yeah. Because, you know, ups and downs. I'm pretty sure you have a whole bunch of stories and things that you could share
all
about.
The things.
You know.
But I mean, that's very self-aware of you. And you said like, have these hard conversations. They would be 10 times, 100 times harder if you didn't have the initial conversation. And for you to set those expectations with your family first, that's super wise. So, yeah. And I think it's more of, I was talking to a friend and I'm like, oh, life does not get easier as you get older. It gets more layered. And she's like, I'm like, how do you seem to do it all? And she's like, there's just different seasons, different shifts. And then you have to shift your priorities depending on what that season requires. And so, yeah, balance is almost like this farce. It's like a facade. It's like, you know,
life changes, health different. Changes, 100%. Your mind changes, like the things that you enjoyed doing before, like I ain't really into that now. And then you gotta like work through all these things. And so you know, different needs and responsibilities. So yeah, it's a lot. Life is life.
Even God didn't have a work-life balance. You know, he spent 7 days working and then 1 day resting. Let's think about that.
Adam. 6 days working, 7 day working. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's really good, bro. That's really good. So I came off the dome. That's why you needed a mic, man. I guess, man, we could be here all day talking, but I want to respect your time and I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thanks.
Joining us here, blessing us with your story and your presence. And you're like I don't know, what's the proper term now? You know, you got to be PC when you start
a guru
saying women are things. Is it firecracker or like
yeah.
spark? Is that okay to say to women these days? 'Cause you never know that they be like canceled. Like, I gave her a compliment. What do you mean?
I've heard firecracker a few times, so I would say that's, you know, it sounds like it's.
You're a momentous occasion. I don't know.
Momentous occasion. Oh man, but yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. And then we definitely going to connect with the restaurant idea. And then also maybe next year I can pop into your event.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Interview some of the amazing women that you have come through there.
That'd be dope.
Be able to talk to them and do like rapid fire interviews. That'd be dope as well. So we're going to talk. We'll plan some stuff. This is a relationship I plan on having and building and growing. So
thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's The Weird Perspective. I'm Darry. This is Miss Vicki Kim. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.